Hello and welcome to our video on how to overcome depression. Now, this is going to build on things that we've learned in the 4-part fundamental series. So if you haven't watched that, I would advise you to press pause and just hop off and watch the fundamentals videos first so that this makes more sense. Okay, so depression. Obviously, this is a global phenomenon. You know, the amount of millions and millions of people all over the world is staggering who are, taking things called antidepressants, this sort of medication for, to help them with depression. So it is something that is, really, really, it's, prevalent throughout society now. Now, what I want to do, though, is to step back and to understand what depression is. Okay, so let's go back to our ancestors a few thousand years ago. So imagine you had an ancestor a few thousand years ago living in a cave somewhere. And he or she went and got up in the morning, looked out of the cave, and let's say that there was stuff going on that they didn't want to interact with. Maybe there was some tribal battle going on. Maybe there was, snow everywhere and there was no berries to pick. There was no food to gather. Maybe there was a drought. But there was just something outside of the cave, and they said, "Oh, I don't want to deal with that." What would they do? They would go back in the cave. They would pull their animal skin rug over them, and literally lie there until the world had changed, because they had to conserve their resources. They didn't have a fridge full of food and takeaways they could call to get food delivered. They would literally depress their system and just stay really still to conserve their resources, not wanting to interact with the outside world until it had changed. Okay, so you can see in that context how that thing that we now call depression was a survival mechanism. And then when the world outside changed, they would re-engage with the world. So if you are feeling depressed, look at what you want to do. You want to withdraw from the world. You don't want to talk to people. You don't want to see people. You want to hide away. You say, no, I don't want to know with this. I can't deal with it. So we've basically sort of hijacked this survival mechanism and turned it into what has become this, modern day phenomenon that we call depression as an illness, as a disorder. Okay. Now, we therefore, the same as other things, it's an inside job. We've created it. Now, yes, some people are more prone to it because of family history and that sort of thing, but ultimately we can do things about it. Like the other things that we've spoken about anxiety and anger, etc. This is an inside job. And if we think that only somebody outside of us can change this, and we feel then unempowered to do anything. But if we recognize, oh, hang on, there's something that I can do about this, but I've got to change the way that I think in order to change the way that I feel, it's only then that you can start to look to really overcome it yourself. Now, one of the challenges with depression, and it may well be in actual fact, that most of the people who really need to watch this aren't even watching it because they can't be bothered, because they don't want to. Because when we're really suffering from depression, we've just got no oomph. We've got no get up and go. Our get up and go has got up and gone. We just don't really want to do anything. We don't want to listen. We don't want to do anything different. Okay. That's because, if you like, the monkey's got control. And one of the things that it really doesn't like is change, because it sees change as danger. It doesn't want to do anything different. Okay. So there's this real kind of negative inertia. So if you're experiencing that, please recognize that it is down to you. You've just got to find something somewhere to start doing some small things differently. Now, what we've got to start doing differently, a big thing, is to produce more serotonin. Now, one of the things that will be in common with people suffering from depression, whatever story, whatever's going on in their life, is that there is a lack of serotonin. Okay, so you need to start doing as much as you possibly can to produce more serotonin. And if you remember back to part 4 of the Fundamentals video series, and if you haven't seen that, watch it, we talk about how to start producing more serotonin. And that's through how we think about things. So positive thoughts, positive actions, and positive interactions. So we can start to overcome depression by starting to think differently. Now, this is a really simple thing, but I recognize that if you are in the grips of depression, it's much simpler than it is, than it is easy, because we just kind of don't want to. Oh, it's too difficult. But this is what we need to start doing. We need to start thinking differently about things. We've got to find a way of thinking more optimistically about things, thinking more positively about things. Okay. Now, there's various things within the Inner Balance coaching system that can help you with that. There's different meditations in here that you can listen to. There's positive affirmations that you can listen to. There's some ACT, audio coherence tracks that you can listen to. You can start to use Pablo. That will start to get you feeling differently about things. You can use the reframe technique. That will start to target, feeling differently about things. But you have got to use them. There are no words that I can tell you. There are no words that anybody external to you can tell you. There is no magic formula that's just going to snap you out of depression. It is an inside job, and you've got to start, with help, with support, working your way through it. But you've got to start doing that. So use the 5 a day way to mental well-being. Use that every day. Pick at least 5 things that can make a difference. Now, one of the things with depression, what we tend to do is to withdraw, and we don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want to do anything. We want to move our body as little as possible. You've got to start moving your body. Now, you might not like exercise, but you have got to start moving your body if you want to overcome depression. Now, you might not be ready to go down the gym or want to go out for a run or something, but hopefully you might like some music. Find music that you like, but uplifting music that makes you feel good, and put that on for maybe put together like a little playlist of music, and maybe for 10 minutes, just locked away in a room where nobody can see you, just dance round as if nobody's watching, when nobody will be watching. Just move your body, do something that makes you feel good, because it's really not possible to be dancing around to fabulous music and feel depressed at the same time. That will start to get your system moving, start to get some neurochemicals moving in your body, some different ones, start shaking things up. So you've got to find some way of doing it. And you might be saying, oh God, I can't face doing that. That's the monkey trying to keep control, because it doesn't want things to be different, okay? But this is where you have to find that spark in you to be prepared to do something differently. Remember what the famous Albert Einstein said about his definition of insanity was people doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. If you want to overcome depression, you have got to start doing some things differently. Small things, start off in a small way and start to build. And consistency is really important. Start to use all of the resources available to you in the Inner Balance coaching system. So that's a great help, but you've got to start doing things. You might not want to interact with people, but remember what produces serotonin, which is what you need. Positive thoughts, positive actions, positive interactions. You've got to start visualizing yourself having more positive interactions with people, doing things in a more positive way, in a more constructive way, and start to do that. Start off with small steps and build up and build up and build up. And I promise you, you can start to make a big difference, but you've got to do it consistently. And you've got support here with all these resources to help you do that. So don't think it's not possible. I promise you, I've seen it hundreds of times with people who have come from really, really deep depression and have managed to claw their way sometimes out of it by doing these simple things that I'm talking about. Okay. So I wish you well with that. And I promise you it's all possible.